On one side, it could be said that there are walls, and on the other, it could be said that there are boundaries. And while a wall will basically stop other people from getting in, it will also stop someone from getting out. Boundaries, on the other hand, will make it clear where someone's property begins and ends, but it will still let people in and it will still let one out. And so when someone has good boundaries, they will be able to let other people in, they will be able to embrace life, and so because of this, they will be able to experience deeper connections with others, to experience intimacy, and to live a life that is worth living. And this doesn't mean they will never be walked over, but what it means is that they will experience, or they will have, a sense of inner safety and security, and they will know that if someone crosses their boundary, that they will be able to stand their ground, to assert themselves and to say no, or this is not acceptable. So they can be vulnerable because they've got the ability to draw the line. However, when someone has walls and they don't have boundaries, they won't be able to let other people in. And therefore, they won't be able to connect to others. They could spend a lot of time by themselves. And so this means it will be practically impossible for them to embrace life and to experience deeper connections with others. And this is naturally going to mean that they will often experience loneliness, they feel disconnected, and they could spend a lot of time feeling down and even powerless. And even though they will have the need deep down to connect with others, they will have a greater need to keep them at bay. And although they will have walls, it doesn't mean that they won't ever reach out to others. But when they do this, they could find that they often end up being walked over, so they could say yes instead of no. They could end up being taken advantage of. And this can then validate their belief that it's not safe for them to let people in. And when they are walked over, they could feel angry and frustrated, powerless, and be overcome with rage. And one reason why someone would have walls and not boundaries is because of what took place during their early years. And this may have been a time when they were basically seen as an extension of their caregiver or caregivers. So what this would have meant is that their caregiver or caregivers wouldn't have respected their boundaries. They wouldn't have respected their feelings. They wouldn't have tuned into their reality and to have listened to what was going on for them. They would have simply walked over them. Perhaps they may have hit them. They may have told them to do things that they didn't want to do. It ultimately wouldn't have mattered what they wanted. And this would have meant that they would have often felt violated. And through having these experiences, they would have come to believe that if they allow other people to get close to them, they will end up losing themselves and being annihilated. And during this time, they may have emotionally shut down to stop themselves from being overwhelmed, and this also would have caused them to disconnect from their need to be close to others, to experience intimacy. So many years will have passed, but the beliefs that they formed and the trauma they experienced will still be inside them. And although what took place would have been incredibly traumatic, it would have been associated as what is familiar. And to their ego mind, what is familiar is what is safe. So while they may spend a lot of time alone and in isolation, because of what is familiar, they can end up recreating and re-experiencing what took place when they were younger. And this part of them doesn't give a damn, really, if something is healthy or functional. All it cares about is if something is familiar. So the first step here will be for someone to become aware of what is going on, and then to reach out for support so that they can deal with their beliefs and heal their trauma. So they can gradually open up and develop boundaries so they can let people in, perhaps for the first time, and live a life that is worth living. But the main thing is that they reach out for support and don't suffer in silence any longer.